The Flesh and Blood community is growing and changing, and you really never know what you have in life until it's gone. I made a video a year ago talking about how the Flesh and Blood community was just exponentially growing. And there were changes that were happening in the community and in just the game. And it was a good thing. It's just a thing in life that you have to go through, right? Change. And making the most of what you have in the current moment is really important. And in today's video, I just want to reflect on, what's happened in the last year, how the community of Flesh and Blood has grown and changed. And overall, it's a great thing, man. But making the most of the time you have in the community that you currently have is so important. And I could tell you, I can tell you for a fact that I have definitely damn made sure that I have made the most of what I had in the community. I mean, it's just been nonstop with Flesh and Blood over the last year. I can't tell you, man. It's just been nuts. And back in November 2020, let me tell you how it was back in the day. It was insane. The the Reddit group only had about 1,000 people. Now it has like 8,000 plus. Just there's not many YouTubers out there doing this thing. There are not many other channels and all this stuff. Flesh and Blood didn't get too many views. I'm not gonna lie. The view count on Flesh and Blood material was low, but now it's very high. So people are getting into it in 2021. But 2020 it was a ghost town. It was crazy, but it was nice. It was like a Hallmark movie where everyone in the community knew each other, and you could reach out to people all the time, and everything was like closely knit. And there's this sense, and I still feel the same sense in Flesh and Blood right now. Don't get me wrong, but in the past, it was more of everybody was on this groupthink path of we want Flesh and Blood to succeed. We will do anything to get it to succeed. We don't care what it is. We want this game to grow and be better so we can like play it more and so that the game grows and it is better and the community grows. All of it was around community growth. And it was a wild time, and it was really cool too with the Discord groups, and you'd have the same 5 or 6 or 8 people talking, and you knew who they were. You got a kind of sense of it. Where now there's like tons of people there, and same with the Facebook groups that I haven't been on, and the Reddit groups. You had the same type of people responding a lot. Now it's just like flooded and everything because the community's grown, which is a good thing. But I want to reiterate, I think it's important for everyone to just make the most of the time you have. Because even though Flesh and Blood has grown a lot from 2020 through 2021, Q3 2021, it's got a lot more growth that it can capture, man. It is just keeping on growing. It is like a snowball on the top of a mountain. It is like tumbling down the hill, gathering more snow, becoming a huge, bigger snowball. And there's a lot of opportunities, man. We've seen so many different like websites pop up, different YouTube channels, different things, different stores, different opportunities. There is definitely a place for you in this community. No matter who you are, no matter what you are, a player, collector, or if you just like to sniff the rappers like me or whoever you are. This is a great game that everyone is welcome to and enjoy. And I think that's what really I liked in the beginning of it, man. When I first came, people were so positive to me when I made a YouTube channel. It was so nice. Just people just like, hey, keep making content, keep it up. Because at the time, there was literally not that many content creators. So when I made a video, there's like a couple people like, hey, Bronson, I see what you're doing here. Your video quality is kind of shit. You're not that great at this, but keep it up. Keep making videos. We want to digest content. People didn't say it like that, but it was that same sentiment of like people are just deprived of content. And now I feel like we have a lot more content creators. But I will tell you right now, and I will always say this: there was never a lack of content creation for Flesh and Blood. There's never, even in the year 2027, when there's like thousands of people making videos about this game, there will never be enough. And if you're thinking about it, please do. And if you're listening to me, if you've listened to my ass for a while, please consider supporting other content creators. Like, go to their channels and just, subscribe if you can and stuff. Honestly, what I do is I constantly monitor the Reddit every couple weeks. I look for new content creators. I go to their channel. I watch a couple of the videos. I subscribe to the thing and I say, hey, keep it up, dude. You're doing great. Because I want the community to grow. That's the whole point of this channel. If you haven't gathered that so far, the whole point of this whole channel, my end game. What's Bronson's end game? It's such a confusion. I'm trying to make the game grow. I've said it very far into the past. I haven't said it a lot recently, but man, I just wanted the game to grow. And now I don't really have to do anything. It's like on autopilot, man. This game is like going nuts, and and it just fascinates me how much the game has built up steam over the short period of like a year and a half. And I just really want there to be, more content creators, more people get into this game for anything, starting a store, going to their local scene and just, being a nice person out there. But there's always room for more, and I always want that to be transparent and going on into the future, even when this community gets very very big. Because I feel like a lot of people know with other communities when communities get so big, it's hard to keep everybody wrangled, and when we are successful, it's hard to keep that level headed of humility and just wanting the game to grow more, if that makes any sense. It's always fun to root for the underdog, and when we're doing that, all of us are like, yeah, let's make this thing succeed. And I want that momentum to keep on into the future, even after Flesh and Blood is very successful. But I want to also talk about making the most of the time you have, because I know you see me on the screen and you've watched my videos, but you might think, Bronson, what's up with what you're doing in Flesh and Blood? What do you mean make the most of it? I'm making these videos, of course, but I've been competing a lot. I've been in my local stores a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot more than I'm used to. But I competed in 5 road to nationals. I was in a bunch of skirmish events. Season 1, I think I went to like 6 or 4 skirmish events, a good amount. I went to Vegas. I'm gonna be in the national tournament in Orlando, Florida, which is where I'm situated, which is so nice for me. But I'm going out to these events. I'm playing competitively. I'm playing with like really good players, and I'm just going out there. And honestly, it's been so rewarding. I can't tell you. I mean, it is definitely tough making content and also competing a lot, because both things take a lot of time away from me. Same with like my normal day's life, so adding another aspect, because over the weekend I can either go to locals or I can make 4 videos. It's kind of a choice, and it's tough sometimes, juggling all that stuff, but it's awesome. I mean, being in the community so early on and competing and just playing the game a lot and learning how it works, it's just been a really great time. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I made like really good groups of friends down here, even online too, man. There's a lot of people that I've reached out to on Discord, and I have like chats with, and like Jason from Deck Edge. He's a really cool guy, like store owner, just awesome man all around, and just talking to him every couple of mornings, and Mitch from Midtown Merchant, and all the other content creators too, man. I don't know if you know this, but they're very very accessible. Like, you can talk to people on Discord. I know that's crazy, but you can literally like start a chats and say, hey, I watch you, I like you. Or you can be a little less awkward than that, but you can talk to people, which is really cool. Because what people don't understand is, once this game starts to go more up, and once the content creators and people out there, once they become less and less accessible because of the whole environment, that's going to change things. And honestly, I've been doing my best. I've been doing my Drinking with Bronson series. I've been talking to a bunch of different people in the community, which is just really great. It's cool to like know people, and I feel bad because I haven't kept on relationships with a bunch of people. Like, I reach out to people, I do a Drinking with Bronson, I have a really good time, but at the end of the day, man, it's I have so much shit around like doing just content in general, and matching up schedules. But it's been extremely rewarding to talking to all the content creators out there for Flesh and Blood. It's been extremely rewarding, And it's really cool to just talk to people and going to the events. Like when I went to Vegas, I met a bunch of great content creators there too. I saw Brian from Tulare Community College. I was a little wuss and I didn't really talk to him, but I said hi to him and he said hi back, which was really cool. And then talked to Louis from Kitchen Table TCG. I talked to what is it, Jason from Outcast Haven, and I talked to a bunch of people. And I was there with my boys, Rob Seigel and AJ Brown from Tulare Dropouts, and was it Adventure Co Gaming? I hung out with all the other content creators, and I just think that's great. And I hope that that sentiment goes into the future too. Like now, right here in this time period, content creators are talking with each other. They're doing collabs. Collabs was huge. I hope collabs keep going on, because collabs are really cool. And it's not just to like mismatch like content. I think it's really cool to see different content creators interact. And not just my stuff, but others. I love watching collabs and seeing how like people interact with each other and what different opinions there are and just normal chats. And that's all about making the most of the time you have. It's just been it's just been a wild ride. And this game has just been it's just been huge. It's been a huge part of my life. And just becoming more of a player versus a collector. Like, back in November 2020, I played the game. I played the game with, a couple of my friends locally, but I didn't really go out to locals. I didn't, compete in anything. I wasn't a competitive player. I didn't know how any of that shit worked. I did my best in my games, but, I wasn't really competitive. But I can tell you over the course of like me playing in these tournaments to get the cards that I want as a collector, I've wanted to compete better because if I get into the top 8, I get a card that's worth like $300, $400. The cold foil hero cards, that's pretty legit. So if I become a better player, I get more of a collection, and I don't have to pay for that collection. It's like the entrance fee, which is pretty legit. And honestly, man, these these tournaments out there are so good. Like, how do you beat a local tournament, right? Where you pay $30 and you get to do pre-release Tales of Aria, pre-release Monarch, and you get to open like 3 or 6 packs depending on draft or sealed, and you could get some really crazy pull in those, or you could like win the thing and then get like a really expensive playmat, or maybe you get even more packs, what have you. There's so much money on the table out there for people to just go sit their ass in a seat, have a pulse. They have to make sure you have a pulse before you get your packs. Then they give you your packs, you play, and it doesn't matter if you do good or bad. I mean, if you do better, you do get better prizes, but even still, there's tons of participation prizes out there, and I've been making the most of it, man. I went to, the Vegas tournament for Tales of Aria. I went to, I believe, 2 or 3 pre-releases. I think just 2, but I wanted to go to 3. I'm pretty sure two at least. But yeah, man, I've just been making the most of it because even still, like you walk in and for the pre-release events too for Flesh and Blood, you get a cold foil. What is it? We got an amulet this time, or I think you get 2 amulets sometimes, and those cards are like $15 each or $10 each. That pays for your ticket to be there. Not only that, but you get packs. So making the most of that is so important, man, because there's a lot of these great events where there's just so much for you as a consumer of Flesh and Blood. But not only that, it's historical, man. You're there for the pre-release of the set, or like Vegas, you're there for the Tales release. Like you're one of the first 1,000 people who are gonna touch this, these trading cards, which is really nice, and it was part of an event. And yeah, I mean, starting in December 2020 is when I first competed, and I competed in a skirmish event. I think it was in the UK, and that was a lot of fun. And then skirmish season 1 started in the beginning of 2021, and I competed a bunch of those. I think, yeah, like I said before, like 4 or 6. And then after that, Monarch came out, and I went to 3 Monarch pre-releases in my area. There's the most around my area because it was just a really easy thing. And honestly, it was the first time I played Sealed. I never played Sealed before. I don't know if you've played Sealed before. Sealed is really badass. I think it is really the biggest uh, biggest thing that deters people from saying I lost because I didn't have a good deck, you know? And you can still say that in sealed, but what's nice about it is, everyone has, six packs or three packs, and they're pulling cards and they can create a deck, and it's really a deck building, thing. And that's kind of where the whole competition is, I mean, I think sealed is mainly for like 40% deck construction and then 60% actual gameplay. And there's a thing where you could get insane polls and that could do something for you. But ultimately, it really helps people who don't have the big enough funds to create like a competitive deck to compete in a tournament with a bunch of other people, and I love it. It's probably one of my favorite formats, if not the most favorite format. Because what's nice too with pre-release as well is everyone's learning the cards for the first time. Everyone's having fun. If you make a mistake, people are like, "Oh, you can take that back." I usually let people take it back. I don't give it. I don't give a shit. If it's a pre-release weekend, it's fine. You just take something back. It's no big deal. It's very casual. It's really cool, and people are really nice, and this community overall has been really nice. I mean, when I first went into my first sealed event in Monarch, I mean, there's just a lot of local people who had seen my channel and I seen their channels, and they just invited me with open arms, which was uh, it's very nice. I didn't think that people would be doing that because I know I'm a collector person mostly, but yeah, the Flesh and Blood community is just great like that. And I want that to continue. I want that to, be into the future. If you're at your locals and you see new people, like say, hey, how's it going, man? My name's Bronson. What's your name? And how'd you get in the game? And what are you playing? What's your deck construction look like? Because that's really what has made the game grow. And I know we like to say collectability is a big thing, and it is. There's a lot of things where I think collectability is kind of like the bedrock of this game needed to be collectible for people to give a shit to go to these events to get money for competing. If you win, you want to get something nice. But I think the other big portion of this is it takes people like you just in your store, you see new people come in and you're just nice to them. And people who are nice to each other and inviting and say, "Hey man, come on, play the game. Let's, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming out." And I've heard so many stories of people just, giving cards to other people who are new to the game and giving advice and saying, "Hey, this is what you should do here and here." And that's the type of thing that's grown the game as well. Just grassroots, people who wanted to do better for the game, people who went to the local game store and says, "Hey, I want you to have Flesh and Blood here. I want to hold Flesh and Blood events. Like, let's do it. Let's get on this. I'll get my crew. We'll get a bunch of people. We'll start doing games. Let's go." And the game stores said, "Okay, sounds like this is money. Let's do it." And it happened. And, at first it might have been 6 people, 8 people, but then slowly but surely, six goes to 10, goes to 15, goes to 30, and then you have the road to national events and people see the nice tunic, and then anyone within a 50-mile radius is going to go to that store. It's really ballooned, all these local scenes, and it takes people who are really dedicated to the game, and those people are really not heard of that much. I feel is that those people are kind of like the silent majority, who are the people who are just not on the YouTubes or not on the internets. They're in the stores, and they're playing, they're getting the events going, and we owe a huge debt to those guys. Whoever they may or may not be. I'm not one of them, but I definitely have gone to stores and I've gone to events. I'm a participant, but there's a lot of leaders out there that I've seen, in my local communities that say, "Hey, yep, when I got into the game, nobody was playing at these game stores. I called them up. I tried to push Flesh and Blood a lot, and then the people who do that are also usually the judges, are usually the tournament organizers. There's the TOs. I don't know if you know this. These people are really cool. They hold the events. They take their time out of their day to to host these things. And one notable guy is Matt Heffelfinger from Fab Arsenal. Shout out to him, man. He's a really cool guy in my local scene, and I love going to his events in Cloak and Blaster, man. He has this whole showman shit like going on. I think he's a really good showman. Like he's like, hey, Flesh and Blood players, this is time and round, and he's doing all this shit, and then after each round, he's raffling off prizes, doing his thing, and those types of people need to. I think there's definitely it's just a definitely a big thing that they do for the game, and you got AJ Brown and what is it, Alex as well that I talked to recently on a drinking with Bronson. They're the same way. They're TOs and judges, and they like hold these events at the local scenes. Like those types of people are so important to this game. That's what if it's something I've realized when I'm making the most of this game, is that like those people, if it wasn't for them, it would be very hard for game stores to run this, because I don't know if you know this too. It's hard for game stores to get into new games, I think, because in their mind they're like, oh, this is going to be a lot of labor. I'm going to have to learn the rules. I'm going to have to host the events. I'm going to have to do all this stuff. But what's great is when you have these local people in the community who step up and are saying, hey, man, hey, store, here's the deal. I'm going to judge for you. I'm going to hold the event. I'm going to like talk about time and round. I'm going to be the tournament organizer for you. I'm going to do everything for you. We're going to buy boxes from you. Are you good with that? Then from a store's perspective, think about the store. It's like, huh, so you're telling me I just have to sell you cards. and 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 that's what the type of relationship is. It's taking off all the labor and all the bullshit from the store onto an individual or a group of individuals in the local community. I really want to highlight that, man. When I'm talking about making the most of it, those people are huge, and I don't know. It's just something that I think people don't really recognize as much. So I wanted to shine a flashlight on it there. That's what I learned. But yeah, man. I mean, after after the first Monarch releases and stuff, I was talking about what is it? After the Monarch release, it was kind of a lull period of the Flesh and Blood. I mean, there was Skirmish Season 2. I didn't compete into that as much. The skirmishes, it's just tough. After I played Sealed, I like Sealed. I like Constructed. I started playing Constructed a lot more, and I just got hooked, man. Like I like Blitz is nice, but personally for me, Constructed is the game. Constructed is the best format of Flesh and Blood in my mind, from my experiences of playing as a player. And I've heard of a lot of players out there, like a lot of true Flesh and Blood players. They'd say, "Yep, yeah, Constructed is the thing." I think Blitz personally, it kind of polarizes like certain heroes being better at others because they can just race to 20 a lot faster, like Kano, for instance, obviously, and probably a lot of other ones like and Ira just kind of like chips away at you. Um, I think that overall Blitz is going to be tough going forward because I think there's going to be certain heroes that just could just you know beat the heck out of the other ones. It's going to be a very short pool of heroes that are actually viable in my mind. I could be wrong. We'll see what happens at the end of the day. But Constructed is the main format, man. And especially the Bravo. I mean, Bravo is not very aggressive. Bravo, is the hero I like the best. He's a guardian. He's not an attackian. He doesn't have these huge combos and all this bullshit. He blocks a lot, and then when you don't have a good turn, I'm gonna hit you with my hammer for 4 damage or 6 damage. So as a Bravo player, it wasn't as good for me because I just couldn't figure it out, and I couldn't really use my deck to my advantage. Like Blitz, you only can have a 40 card deck, and in Classic Constructed, sometimes I'll overblock. Sometimes I'll just use more cards in my deck as a resource. I use my deck as a resource to defend a lot early on, and then later game I'll start on the offensive and taking over that tempo. You know what I mean? But in Blitz I can't do that as much because I only have a 40 card deck. Whereas in Classic Constructed, I run like a 70 card deck or a 70, around a 70 card deck or 69 card deck, which is a really big, deck. Usually people run like 60 cards, so I can use those extra 9 cards to my advantage. Do you see my point? And especially when you're a guardian and you're blocking out a lot, it's really helpful for that point. But yeah, no, I just found out mid 2021 I really like Classic Constructed. I mean, it's my favorite competitive format. Could change in the future. I guess we'll see. But I also found out, yeah, like I was saying, I like Sealed. Now, when it came up to the Vegas thing, man, with Tales of Aria, that was very. It was a bittersweet moment, man. When I walked into that hall for the first time and saw all those people who were there for one event for Flesh and Blood, the game that I picked up and started playing, back in 2020, and you have like 1,000 people in in the Reddit back in the day, and then you see like 1,000 plus people in one freaking room who had flown out from all over the course of the United States, and that doesn't even represent any sort of the population of Flesh and Blood in 2021. That's only the people who had the time and the money and who were able to fly out, but that doesn't represent nearly, who knows how big of an iceberg this is. That was just the tip of the iceberg, but to see all those people, it was pretty crazy. It's pretty awesome. And yeah, after that pre-release season, it was great too, because I had already played in Monarch, and I got back from the Vegas event. I started playing my pre-releases. Those were a lot of fun. And now my current mindset right now, if I can go to present day, I'm looking forward to nationals. I don't know who I'm going to play. I'm leaning towards Bravo. I'm leaning towards taking out like 3 cards and putting in 3 Terra Sunders, and putting in that new shield for old the Guardian Shield. I'm putting that in for the dash matchups, and seeing how that runs. But overall, just other than that, I'm trying to look at other heroes that could counter the current meta. But I'm probably going to put that deck together in a week or two. After once it gets close to nationals, because I don't know what to run. I've just been so busy with a lot of stuff, and yeah. But essentially, to sum this up, I've been making the most of the time I have in this game. I started the Drinking with Bronson podcast this year. Been talking to a bunch of different content creators and a bunch of different people in the game. And not only that, I've been, you know, competing in all these local events, making good friends, hanging out, increasing my collection as much as possible, and collecting things that I see that I like that could have value or could not in the future, who knows. And I've just been yeah, been really in it. And if you're in the community right now and you're listening to this video, like, I really, uh, implore you, make the most of that you have in this, because Flesh and Blood, in my mind, is going to be around for a while. It's going to be around for a very long time. And even saying you were here at the 2 year mark, the Flesh and Blood is still a baby. It's an 8-month-old baby. It's still in diapers, man. It's a very new game, and being in it from the beginning or near the ground floor is still pretty awesome. There's a lot of great opportunities as collectors, but also as players, just to be in the community, and be a person, and not only that, even be a content creator, or you start your own channel, doing your own types of videos, and own type of content, or make a store for Flesh and Blood, or be a tournament organizer. Like I just said, if you're like, hey, we don't have a good community scene, be that person. Be that person. Call up your store, say, hey, that bullshit labor you don't like to do, I'll do it, and I'll do it with a smile because I love this game. And see where that goes, because there's so many different areas in this game that people can just be in the community. And I just wanted to rehash what I've done in the last year, because I know words are words and actions are actions, and I can tell you for sure, I've definitely acted. I've definitely made the most I had with Flesh and Blood, and I'm really happy I did, because the community has changed, and it's changed a lot in the last year. It used to be this very small village, and now we're kind of like almost a bustling city. It's been crazy, but making good contacts, talking to people, being in the game, and all that stuff. It's been really rewarding, and I'm definitely going to look back and be sure glad that I did. So at the end of this, I wanna go into more of a my channel update. I try to put channel updates at the end of these types of videos. So I've been doing YouTube thing for a year and 3 months, and if you're watching me this far, especially in this video, thank you very much. I really appreciate your support, and for you watching my channel for this long. I think it's like, oh, we're at the 30-minute mark. Holy shit, that's it's pretty long. I'll cut to chase. I'm moving soon, so this whole backdrop is probably gonna change. I'm probably gonna like change a lot of the stuff up. Make it look a little sexier. Hopefully, maybe put some card porn in the background. So you can see you can see that I actually own some expensive stuff. That I am a normal guy in a normal room, but I do have a pretty good collection now. Other things, yeah, I started a Patreon earlier this year, and I really appreciate my patrons. I know I don't really do much to the patrons. I definitely want to figure out how I can add more value. Honestly, I was really impressed that so many patrons have stayed with me. I think only 7 people out of the 30 dropped, which is crazy. I thought a lot of other people would have dropped at this point in time. I did buy a video or an audio recording system right here. So I haven't set it up yet because I'm literally moving in like 4 days from now. Um, this room is gonna look slightly more normal. It may be like normal plus. Like if you have a airplane, it's gonna be economy plus versus economy. It's gonna be a normal room plus. I'll definitely be showcasing that sometime after this video. I just wanted to make this video as kind of like an ending type of thing for this room. It's last video for this room, and yeah, man, it's been crazy. It's been a wild ride. I definitely appreciate the patron stuff. And the money towards this. I definitely want to increase the quality of this channel overall. The next thing I definitely want to get is some sort of like video type recording thing, because I know this imagery is kind of blurry sometimes, and that's not fun. So that's the next thing. So first thing is going to be the room with the new audio stuff, hopefully, and then after that, yeah, the video thing. But man, like it's just been a wild ride so far, and yeah, I don't know if I've shown out and panned out the room. If you're watching this far, you can see it. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. That's my Arcane Rising stuff, and this is other boxes and shit. That's the door that exits this normal room. Uh, but yeah, it's coming along. That's my bed over there, and that tarp thing doesn't go all the way out. I have the video camera at a certain length. But yeah, man, that's my whole room out there. But but yeah, no, it's a good thing. I've definitely been in this establishment for a good amount of time. If you know where I live, well, you probably don't know where I live now because I'm moving. But yeah, final thoughts. I just want to say thank you again. Thanks for support. Thanks for watching 30 minutes into a random video that talks about making the most of the time you have left. And honestly, and especially since you're watching this far, please support other content creators. I know if you like me, that's great, but there's a lot of other great content creators starting up, and honestly, it just takes a very small amount of encouragement to these people who are brand new to the game, who want to start talking about it. It takes a very small amount of encouragement just to get them, motivated to do more content and produce more stuff. And you might not like what they have at the current time. You probably didn't like what I had in the beginning too. But if you just water that seed a little bit, it just makes the whole garden grow. And I'm telling you straight up, I definitely I'm making this content because I want the game to grow, and I want to provide a different perspective on the game. Just a level-headed, normal guy talking to you about the game I love. So thank you again for all the support. Look forward to seeing you in my new room coming out soon. And yeah, long live Flesh and Blood. Cheers, man.